think that he's good for you.
How do you know what's good for me?
That's my opinion!
Don't you get it? Why can't anybody have an opinion but you?
That I don't think that he's good.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra for this impromptu live. And actually, the news has just kind of kept me up, but I wanted to go live to talk about my industry. And I may branch off into other things, but I have an appointment today, so I will not be here long. But you see the title. This is about Spirit Airlines. This is about Spirit Airlines overnight. They're going to have to dismantle. And it's because of fuel prices. And that was a choice. But I may talk a little bit more about that later. But let me just share with you so that you see it with your own eyes. We have an airline, over 14,000 employees receive emails overnight that their jobs are no longer going to be there. And passengers are going to be stranded. Other airlines are scrambling, mine included, to be able to help get people where they need to be, hire people that are immediately without a job. And my heart just goes out to them. Thank you for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra for this quick extra on Spirit Airlines and some of the causes of why we're going through this. Let me share right now the news on it. Here we are.
To the Iran war, which has caused jet fuel prices to double. The American budget carrier has ceased operations after failing to secure creditor support for a government bailout. This is a personal blow to President Trump, who'd proposed $500 million of taxpayers' money to save Spirit, despite opposition from some of his closest advisors and many Republicans in Congress. Spirit serves more than 40 cities in the US, along with international destinations in Central and South America, and has its main hub at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport in Florida. Reports say thousands of jobs will go. Well, let's get more on this with Paul Charles, an aviation consultant and founder and CEO of the PC Agency, who advises airlines on managing crises. Well, Paul, welcome to you. And this is an absolute crisis for this airline, which has now gone under. Tell us more about them. And I guess this was expected given its financial circumstances.
Yes, this is the first major airline casualty in the US in 25 years, and the first major visible casualty of the Iran war. The writing was on the wall, really, for Spirit in the last few months. It's been through bankruptcy over the last couple of years, but earlier this year was really trying to shrink down in size to save its costs. And eventually, just 24 hours ago, it became very clear that Spirit would be unable to get financial support or backing, enough money from the US government in particular, to be able to carry on trading. And once those rumors start, I'm afraid people stop buying tickets and the airline faces an even more precarious future.
Yeah, and to what extent is its bankruptcy and its failings now, it's going into administration, to do with the jet fuel crisis?
It's hugely related to the jet fuel crisis. If you're any airline, let alone Spirit, 35% of your fixed costs come from jet fuel. So in the majority of cases, especially in the US, you don't buy jet fuel in advance, like many European airlines do, at a fixed price. You're buying them on the day at whatever price is available. And the price of jet fuel has soared in recent weeks, pretty well doubled to $5 or so. And that's simply unsustainable for most airlines. Spirit was already in financial dire straits, and therefore the higher cost, if you're paying double on 35% of your fixed costs, it's simply unsustainable.
And this crisis and the jet fuel price increase very much down to the war in Iran and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, via which that jet fuel travels. So where is the industry now in terms of looking forward to managing those costs and also trying to mitigate the fact that jet fuel isn't coming through?
Is just telling us what is going on. Of course,
there are tens of thousands of passengers affected today. Some 60 to 80,000 people who will be waking up this morning here in America, and they won't have a flight to be able to take. So in the short term, many tens of thousands of people affected. Other carriers trying to obviously sell them tickets at a cheaper price. But other carriers are also in the spotlight.
So there's everybody, and that's the BBC. That's the BBC News, because I fully expect this administration, because they are at fault And you do hear where they correctly say this is something that was done. It didn't have to be done, but it's President Trump started this war of choice with Iran, and now we have fuel prices that are over and above what they would have been. Now, in the past, we could say that presidents are not in charge of fuel prices. This one's not in charge of it either, but he is responsible. He's 100% responsible for this war of choice. And so now we have all of these people that are stranded. We have 14,000 employees. They received an email in the middle of the night, I found out. So I'm just going to read a little bit of an article. Good morning at Church 612. Good morning, Sandra P. and chat. Thank you. That's one of my moderators. Thank you so much for coming in. But if you are a Spirit employee, I'll just read to you. American Airlines takes action to support Spirit Airlines customers and team members. And I've DM'd a couple of people on Threads that are employees of Spirit. So they should apply to as many airlines as quickly as possible. Let me just read a little bit. The American Airlines team is doing everything we can to support Spirit customers and team members affected by Spirit's immediate wind down of operations. Everybody, this is immediate. We have been in touch with the administration, including the Department of Transportation. Unfortunately, from the thumbnail, you see that that's run by Didn't Earn It Hire Sean Duffy from The Real World, who's never been qualified for his job. So he's now giving speeches. He doesn't really have a plan or ideas like many in this administration, but American Airlines has been in touch with them. To help customers whose travel may be disrupted, we immediately put rescue fares in place on Spirit routes. American offers nonstop service. We serve 70 of the 72 airports that Spirit presently serves. So everybody, it's a massive overlap. Almost 100% of the Spirit market, American already serves. So there's going to be emergency pricing, 67 specific routes where Spirit serves. So we are reviewing opportunities to add additional capacity. So that means if crews are available, American is going to be able to put equipment in place where people will not be stranded. Also, team members will not be stranded, because keep in mind, if you work for an airline, your hub, that's where you actually work, but crew members are all over those different routes. So they're going to need a way home immediately. Spirit Airlines customers looking to book travel on American are encouraged to book directly through the American Airlines app or on AA.com. American is working to provide transportation for Spirit team members who have been displaced on a work trip. I'm sorry, everybody. You know, I editorialize while I'm reading. And so I've prefaced a lot of what they said with what I already know. If you've been here at Sandra P's Gen Extra, you know that I'm in the transportation industry specifically. I am an airline employee, so I have a lot of inside knowledge of what's happening now. And my heart goes out to Spirit. They received an email again in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m, that this was happening. So they're scrambling this morning. American is working to provide transportation for Spirit team members who have been displaced on a work trip. In addition, we look forward to welcoming qualified Spirit team members to American. We have a microsite. So Spirit employees, you are going to just get in there as quickly as you can. I won't say too much. Jobs.aa.com this weekend for Spirit team members interested in joining the American Airlines team, and we'll hold recruiting events in coming weeks. So it's not just American, everybody. It's going to be all of the airline industry embracing our Spirit brothers and sisters. The same thing that happened after September 11th in 2001. I was a new employee with American Airlines back then. That was just a part-time job. I was working full-time in the finance industry. So my full-time job, we weren't at risk there. And I was at work that day in a training when the towers hit. And by that afternoon, everything was grounded. And when I went to work at my part-time job, we didn't know if we'd have a job. I was furloughed for, I think, 15 months. So that meant I didn't have to go to my part-time job. Of course, the airlines opened back up. I still had my travel and everything, but I was still working my full-time job in finance. So this kind of reminds me of that time, except at that time, it was not self-inflicted like this. So just everybody keep in mind that, I don't know, we'll talk a little bit more. I'm putting together a political discourse about people that are sitting on the fence as far as what they should do when it comes to voting and trying to mobilize people and that sort of thing. Welcome in. Thank you so much for coming in during the live, CC. Welcome to Sandra P's Gen Extra. Please like, share, and subscribe to enjoy all of the amazing content. And then CC is speaking to everyone in the chat. Yes, CC, I'm talking about Spirit Airlines. The employees got the email overnight that they're dismantling immediately. And I started out with the BBC video because Sean, formerly of the Real World, Duffy, he's in charge of the Department of Transportation. He's a cabinet member. Of course, he's not qualified like a lot of the didn't earn it hires. I can't even talk about DEI right now. I'll go into that because what it really is, we're seeing it in view. We're over 300,000, between 300 and 600,000 very qualified Black women have lost our jobs. And now overnight, 14,000 people that work with Spirit Airlines have lost their job, and other airlines are going to try to absorb them. American is one of the first that is reaching out a hand, have the website ready, but with the high fuel costs, which to me it was a choice. Going into Iran was a choice. Spending $1 billion a day was a choice. So the people that sit on the fence, they're going to have to get off the fence and actually do some work. Lillian Pinckney, it's good to see you. I have not seen you in a while, and I am glad to see you down in the chat. I know sometimes you're in the bushes, but thank you for stopping to say hello. We were speaking about the Spirit employees who lost employment overnight with Spirit Airlines and the passengers that are holding tickets. There's also immediate efforts going in place from American Airlines. That's the one that I'm familiar with, and I know for a fact, and I was sharing the communication that went out this morning. I'll share it again just so those of you that just came in can see it. American Airlines takes action to support Spirit Airlines customers and team members. So I know that is something that is happening, and they're in touch with the administration, with the DOT. Again, I don't really think highly of any of the people that I feel are responsible for this. But right now, it's really important that the passengers that may be stranded or concerned about their way home are taken care of, as well as the 14,000 Spirit employees across the country who are immediately out of work. And a lot of states have made changes to how they're paying out unemployment. We know that this administration has gutted what they are giving to states, even states that support them. I'm in North Carolina. North Carolina has the nerve to now be a red state. So there's been changes in unemployment, and it's just it's very hard right now, but there are things that are coming in place to assist people. And thank you for greeting, Lillian. Thank you. Welcome in, American Born. Thank you so much for joining us during this impromptu live. This was about Spirit Airlines. So the thumbnail, that is Sean Duffy, Department of Transportation, formerly of the Real World. So he is not qualified at all. He's not qualified at all. When I do a political discourse, I'm going to drill down into what this administration has done by firing so many qualified people and replacing them with people like Sean Duffy of the Real World. So immediately, again, there are things in place to help the stranded Spirit passengers, as well as the 14,000 employees that received an email overnight. So thank all of you. This, again, I have things to do today. This was impromptu, but I just wanted to share that. I'll share the link that American put. It's AmericanAirlines.com or AA.com. Let me show you that again. So it's AA.com and then jobs.aa.com. And I'm going to share both of those in the description for the video. And thank everyone that just stopped in to say hello this morning. I appreciate all of you. And I hope, good morning to Toot Latrice. Good morning, Toot Toot. Good to see you in a live. Good morning. And Church 612, not of the real world, definitely like qualified. Yeah, Church, that's Sean of the Seattle real world, where the girl Irene got slapped by Steven. No, Seattle, no, Boston. I'm wrong. Boston. Y'all, Sean of the real world, Boston. He's married to Rachel, another former of the real world. So that's what we've got in this administration. When people talk about DEI, didn't earn it, that is what DEI means within this administration, not diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is qualified people fairly being hired instead of being able to do what this administration is doing. But my heart goes out to the Spirit Airlines workers and the passengers that are concerned. And again, I'll share those links that American has put in. And this was just an impromptu video. I just wanted to jump in and let everybody know that Spirit Airlines is dismantling immediately, unfortunately, and that there are going to be things in place for the passengers, for the employees. American Airlines is one of the airlines that have stepped up first with the website aa.com, and then there's going to be a microsite within jobs.aa.com hiring a lot of the qualified Spirit workers. And again, they're all over the country. There are crews that are displaced. They're going to have to find their way home. So I'll read the end of that letter. We recognize this is a difficult moment for the Spirit Airlines team and the airline's customers, and American stands ready to assist however we can. So everybody, just keep those employees in our prayers. I do, because there before the grace of God go I. And in this economy, it could be anyone. With these fuel prices skyrocketing because of this war of choice, $1 billion a day being spent, people trying to build a ballroom, that kind of stuff that's unnecessary. So just keep these people in your in top of mind. Keep them in your prayers, as I do. And American Born says, government could have helped them out. Shaking my head. Yeah, there was something in place. The Orange Clown did want to do a bailout with taxpayer money. That's something I would have been behind. I was behind the 2008 bailouts, but somehow that fell through. I'll go ahead and blame him for that, because I know his negotiations are usually trying to humiliate and rob people. So Spirit Airline is just, they're dismantling on their own, and they're going to go ahead and go out of business, because I can imagine what terms that person put in place. But I'll read up a little more on it. I'll put it in a political discourse. And then there were some other topics that I was going to cover, but this was just a quick, solely Spirit Airlines focused live today. And I thank those of you that were able to jump in during the live. I appreciate all of you that do that. And I hope all of you have a great rest of your weekend. And I will see you in the YouTube streets. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. If you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And I appreciate you, everyone. Have a great day and a great weekend. Goodbye.
Just put a label on it, even if it doesn't change the circumstance. Because there's so much about this moment that is trying to make people feel like they've lost their mind. When in fact, these motherfuckers are crazy.